So another fun thing, not quite as much fun as the whale jumps, but maybe a little more practical in places, is being able to reverse your float from front to back to front. And the way it comes in handy, I'll give you an example so that it makes sense, because otherwise people look at you funny about, why are we doing this? So let me show you. So for this, if you think, okay, you're on the wall, you're about to push off from a back float or onto a back float, and you get out here and you think, oh no, I forgot my goggles. How do you get back? Well, you reverse your float and pull yourself back to the wall. So seems pretty straightforward, but it takes some practice. So the way this float reversal piece works is that you can start in a front float if you want, and you do your recovery, and you do just like you're going to stand up, but instead of putting your feet on the ground, you move your feet out in front of you and you go into a back float. And then from the back float, you pull your knees in just like you're going to do a recovery. You pull your hands around, but instead of standing up, you lean forward in your front float. This is easier in deep water. It's a little harder in shallow water because you have to keep your knees off the floor or your feet off the floor. But it looks relatively like this. And that's it. In shallow water, I have to move a little faster, a little harder to make the push and the moves. In the deeper water, we'll probably see that later. It's just a matter of moving your head back to your back float, and then you move your head forward. Your front float and the rest of you comes around. But in shallower water, it requires a little more push and a little more fight for the recovery. It's a challenging thing. Some people get it really quickly, other people really have to work on it. The other thing that happens is, and you noticed it with me, when I was going from my front float to my back float, that my face went under the water just a little bit. The students, as they throw their weight around to try to make this happen, will find that their faces will go underwater. They'll be surprised. Things will be herky and jerky for them for a little bit. And remind them that the gentleness with which they move really makes a difference for how that plays. And when you throw your head back, you're going to have the weight and the momentum that's going to cause it to go under, as opposed to a gentle move back. And play with that with them. That you can spend 30 minutes on this, no trouble at all, with them going back and forth. If there's any frustration for them, anybody gets to where they just hate it, step back, do something else they like, come back and touch it from there. If you find they're not recovering well, it's a great place to re-look at how the recovery process happens, make sure that goes on. But it's quite useful, and it's really about balance, comfort, being able to recover, being able to float, and it's all going to make a wonderful difference when they get in the deep water and they jump in and they come up and they either come to their back or their front and they find out where they are, and then they need to move to where they need to go. All of that plays out beautifully along the way. So we're going to do two pieces with it. The first piece, if you remember way back on the hops, there's a way to do this to get them started with this, with understanding the movement from the hops. So Denise, if you would, you know how to do the hop. So what I want you to do is to do the hop, and then when you pull, I want, instead of bringing your feet straight underneath you to stand up, I want you to let them go and pull them all the way out in front of you, almost enough where then you can lay back into your back float and go to there. Okay, so that's what we're playing for. So it's just pulling those feet further out in front. Okay. Very pretty. Very pretty. That's beautiful. I like that, just standing. Okay, so now hop up. Yep, sorry. That's very pretty. So, in fact, with that, while you're there, Denise, I mean, you're already here on your back and you have this beautiful space. So if you were to come like you're going to stand up, instead of standing up, just roll on forward and see how that feels.
Okay.
That's pretty. Come like you're standing up, but instead of standing up, come on through. Bada bing. And we have front to back. Can you do your front to back here? Can you pull those knees way in front? Lean back. 2 strokes works beautifully. You see where we're going with that. Very nice. You're free to stand up again. Beautiful. So you can do that nicely. Most of the time when people start, they do huge jumps. Instead of doing it smooth, they'll really, really pop, and then they go back underneath the water, and they're like, so just prep them for it. They're going to be on their back. I use nose clamps whenever possible. I let them know they're going to be blowing out with their nose otherwise. And the goal is to get them to do it smoothly as opposed to hugely. Smoothly, gently. That's where you're going. And as they get used to that, it gives them a way to comfortably be in the water and move around as they need to. All right, you want to do one more time?
Sure.
Do your front to back,
Okay.
just with the pull through, and then back to front. And we'll just put it all together here. Beautiful float. Nice. Now she's using 2 or 3 pushes there. That's her prerogative to pull that up. And now she's coming back around and going right back into front float. She can stay and play with that all day long. It gives great control, and the smoother you can do that, the better.